Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Lincoln Wheat Penny value coins, exploring their iconic design, hidden treasures, and shocking history as we reveal the top 3 most valuable and ultra-rare U.S. wheat pennies. The coins featured in this video include 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, D Mint, Denver. 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, D Mint, Denver. 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, No Mint Mark, Philadelphia. These historic pennies are struck in copper composition and feature the classic wheat reverse design, one of the most iconic and beloved designs in American coinage. At first glance, these coins may appear dirty, worn, and heavily circulated, often with faded details from decades of use. But don't be fooled. Certain rare mint errors, varieties, and high-grade condition examples have turned some of these seemingly ordinary wheat pennies into collector treasures worth thousands, and in rare cases, even more, dollars today. Money bag. So before you overlook that old wheat penny sitting in your collection or coin jar, stick around, because you might be holding a hidden fortune in your hands. Backhand index pointing right first up. Coin number 1. Welcome back. Today we're diving into the story of a coin that looks simple, but carries decades of history within its surface. The 1952 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. A coin that many people have seen, and most have ignored. Small. Copper. Ordinary at first glance. But what if something so common holds more than just 1 cent of value? What if this coin has been quietly waiting to be noticed differently? Because sometimes, the coins we overlook the most have the deepest stories to tell. At first glance, nothing seems unusual. On the front, the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Strong. Calm. Timeless. A design that has become one of the most recognized in American history. And on the reverse, the classic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent. Simple. Clean. Traditional. A design that defined an entire era of coinage. Yet because it's so familiar, people stop paying attention. When this coin was struck in 1952 at the Denver Mint, it entered a world very different from today. A time when coins moved constantly through hands. Used in everyday life. Millions of these pennies were produced. Released into circulation without any special attention. At that moment, it was just another coin. Nothing rare. Nothing extraordinary. Just part of daily transactions across the country. But time has a way of changing everything. As this penny moved through decades, it began to show signs of its journey. Scratches. Wear. Darkening of the copper surface. The once bright shine slowly faded. The wheat ears softened in detail. To most people, this meant the coin lost value. Became something old, something unimportant. But that's only one way to see it. Because in the world of coin collecting, age tells a story. Rare becomes a record of history. A coin that has survived for decades carries something deeper than appearance. It reflects movement. Use. Real life. Collectors don't just look for perfection. They look for meaning, for character. And sometimes, that makes all the difference. Coins like the 1952 D penny can also carry hidden details. Small variations in how they were struck. Tiny differences in alignment or pressure. Things most people would never notice. But collectors pay attention to these details. They study each coin carefully. Looking for something slightly different. Something that stands out quietly. And when they find it, the coin becomes special. Think about the journey of this penny. How many hands it has passed through. How many years it has survived. It may have been spent thousands of times. Lost. Found. Forgotten, then rediscovered. Every mark on its surface tells a story. A silent history that no one recorded. But one that still exists within the metal. That journey alone gives it a unique presence. Now imagine finding one today. Not in a collector's case, but in an old jar of coins. Or hidden away in a drawer. It happens more often than people think. Because coins like this blend into everyday life. They don't stand out. They hide among the ordinary, waiting for someone to notice them. The truth is simple. Not every 1952 penny is highly valuable. Most remain just 1 cent in face value. But the possibility is always there. That one coin might carry something unique. A detail. A variation. A stronger strike. Something that sets it apart quietly. And that possibility keeps collectors searching. It turns curiosity into discovery. There is also something powerful about its time. The early 1950s were a different era. A world moving forward after major change. Coins like this were part of that daily life. Holding one connects you to that moment. A piece of history in your hand. A reminder of a time long gone. That connection adds meaning beyond value. And makes the coin worth a second look. So the next time you see a 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny, don't ignore it. Don't rush to spend it. Take a moment. Look closely. Check the details. Notice the wear. Because sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest stories. And sometimes the one you almost missed is the one worth discovering. Fire. Welcome back. Today we're uncovering the story of a coin that feels completely ordinary, yet carries a quiet connection to history, time, and everyday life. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. A coin many people have seen, and most have never questioned. Small. Copper. Worn from years of use. But what if this simple coin holds more than just 1 cent of value? What if its real importance lies in its journey, not its appearance? Because sometimes, the most overlooked coins carry the deepest stories. At first glance, nothing seems unusual. On the front, the calm and familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. A design that has become a symbol of American identity. Strong lines. Timeless presence. And on the reverse, the iconic wheat ears framing 1 cent. A design that defined an entire era of coinage. Simple. Recognizable. Almost invisible through repetition. And that's exactly why people stopped noticing it. When this coin was struck in 1954 at the Denver Mint, it entered a world where coins moved constantly. Used in markets, shops, and daily transactions. Millions were produced and released into circulation. There was no spotlight. No special attention. It was simply another penny, doing its job. Moving from one hand to another without pause. At that moment, it carried no sense of rarity. But time slowly changes everything. As this penny traveled through decades, it began to collect marks of its journey. Scratches. Wear. Darkened copper tones. The once bright surface faded into something older. The wheat design softened with use. To most people, this meant one thing. The coin had lost its value, its importance. But collectors see a different picture. They don't just see wear. They see history. Movement. Survival. A coin that has lasted this long carries something beyond appearance. It reflects a life in circulation. A connection to real moments in time. And sometimes, that makes it more meaningful. Coins like the 1954 penny can also carry hidden details. Small variations in the minting process. Tiny differences in strike or alignment. Details most people would never notice. But collectors look closely. They examine every line, every letter. Searching for something slightly different. And when they find it, the coin stands apart. Think about where this coin has been. How many hands it has passed through. How many years it has survived. It may have been spent thousands of times. Lost, then found again. Kept in jars, drawers, forgotten places. Every mark tells a silent story. A story no one recorded, but still exists. Now imagine finding one today. Not in a collector's display. but in your own home, in a jar of old coins, or mixed in with spare change. It happens more often than people think, because coins like this blend into everyday life. They hide among the ordinary. The truth is simple. Not every 1954 D penny is highly valuable. Most remain just 1 cent in face value. But the possibility is always there. That one coin might carry something unique. A detail. A variation. A stronger strike. Something that sets it apart quietly. And that possibility keeps people searching. There is also something powerful about its era. The mid-1950s were a time of growth and change. Coins like this were part of everyday life back then. Holding one connects you to that moment. A small piece of history in your hand. A reminder of a world long gone. That connection adds meaning beyond value, and makes the coin worth noticing. So the next time you see a 1954 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, don't ignore it. Don't rush past it. Take a moment. Look closer. Check the details. Notice the wear. Because sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest stories. And sometimes the one you almost missed is the one worth discovering. Fire. Welcome back. Today we're diving into the story of a coin that looks ordinary but is surrounded by one of the most talked about moments in coin history. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, no mint mark. A coin that millions of people have seen, held, spent, ignored. But hidden within this year lies a story that changed everything. Because sometimes it's not the coin itself, but what happened during its time that makes it unforgettable. At first glance, it feels completely normal. On the front, the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. Calm, steady, instantly recognizable. And on the back, the classic wheat ears design. Simple, traditional, timeless. A design used for decades across America. So common that people stopped paying attention. And that's exactly how important coins go unnoticed. When the 1944 penny was produced, the world was in the middle of a historic period. A time of global conflict and rapid change. Just 1 year earlier, in 1943, pennies were made from steel. A major shift caused by wartime needs. But in 1944, the mint returned to copper-based coins. And that transition created something unexpected. Something that collectors still talk about today. Because during that change, a few leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally made their way into 1944 production. That means a very small number of 1944 pennies were struck in steel instead of copper. And those rare pieces became legendary. Coins that look almost identical at first glance, but are completely different in reality. Now here's where things get interesting. Most 1944 pennies, especially with no mint mark, were struck in copper and circulated widely. They became part of everyday life. Used in shops. Passed through countless hands. Over time, they became worn and faded. To most people, they're just old coins. But within this year, the possibility exists. Imagine holding a 1944 penny today. Worn. Dirty. Heavily circulated. It might not look special at all. But what if it's one of those rare exceptions? What if it carries something hidden? A small difference in material. That changes everything? That possibility alone makes this coin unforgettable. Collectors understand this better than anyone. They don't just look at the surface. They look deeper. At the weight. The color. The feel. They know that one small detail can turn an ordinary penny into something extraordinary. And that's what keeps them searching. The journey of these coins is also remarkable. They've traveled through decades. From the 1940s all the way to today. Passing through generations. being spent, saved, forgotten, rediscovered. Every scratch tells a story. Every mark reflects a moment in time. A silent history carried in metal. Now imagine finding one in your own collection. Not in a museum. Not behind glass. But in a jar of old coins. Or mixed in with everyday change. It happens more often than people expect. Because coins like this blend in. They don't stand out unless you look closely. And that's where discovery begins. The truth is simple. Not every 1944 penny is valuable. Most are exactly what they appear to be. Just 1 cent in copper form. But the rare possibility changes everything. That one coin might be different. That one detail might stand out. And that's what makes this year so powerful. There is also something emotional about it. This coin comes from a time of history that shaped the modern world. Holding one connects you to that era, to the people who used it, to the moments it witnessed. It's more than just currency. It's a piece of time you can hold. So the next time you see a 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny, don't ignore it. Don't rush past it. Take a moment. Look closely. Check the color. Notice the weight. Because sometimes the smallest difference can mean the biggest discovery. And sometimes the coin you almost missed is the one that changes everything. Fire.